awal kenapa aku memutuskan untuk ikut Putri Indonesia, walaupun aku nggak ada ide untuk sama sekali join pageant karena aku kuliah di luar negeri cukup lama, mungkin sekitar 8 tahun. And then aku ketemu teman-teman yang pernah ikut pageant, salah satunya Putri Bali. Melihat mereka sampai sekarang ini masih aktif secara sosial dalam their social work and advocacy and their sort of philanthropy, aku jadi terinspirasi untuk mungkin ikut Putri Indonesia untuk maybe just give it a try. Terus I told my sister that I wanted to join Putri Indonesia. I'm thinking about it. Dan dia bilang, "Hah, you? Kamu aja nggak bisa bahasa Indonesia, you know? Like I was just arriving from Italy and my Indonesian kayak Bali banget. Bahkan waktu itu bahasa Balinya lebih lancar daripada bahasa Indonesianya. So she was like, you can't even speak Indonesian. And I was like, like, kalau mau boleh cerita, mungkin ada sedikit moment during karantina where I was not stressed, tapi lebih ke yang harus reset my mind sedikit, harus kasih boost of confidence karena aku merasa agak sedikit mempertanyakan.
Laksmi Deniswardana, Bachelor of Fashion Business, Bali.
First of all, thank you for having me after maybe 2 years. So I'm so excited to be here. Dan mungkin kalau cerita sedikit awal kenapa aku memutuskan untuk ikut Putri Indonesia, walaupun aku nggak ada ide untuk sama sekali join pageant sebelumnya. Karena aku kuliah di luar negeri cukup lama, mungkin sekitar 8 tahun. And then just never crossed my mind to join a pageant, especially after graduating from fashion school in Italy waktu COVID waktu itu. Jadi tahun 2020 aku pulang ke Bali, I help my parents business, dan kebetulan aku ketemu teman-teman yang pernah ikut pageant, salah satunya Putri Bali. Kalau tahunnya I forgot which year, but melihat mereka sampai sekarang ini masih aktif secara sosial dalam their social work and advocacy and their sort of philanthropy, aku jadi terinspirasi untuk mungkin ikut Putri Indonesia untuk maybe just give it a try. Karena my friend said that Bali belum pernah ada yang menang dan Putri Bali belum pernah ada yang dari Ubud. So I was like, after I decided to join, okay, I'm committed, I'll give my all, my best for Bali. Karena during that time, Bali was affected really badly by the COVID pandemic, and I just want to give back and do something great for my island in my own little way, which was Putri Indonesia. Dan selain itu, aku juga ingin mengembangkan kesadaran untuk literasi di Indonesia, dan juga to let people know about Ubud Writers and Readers Festival and just how important reading is for the growth of the nation. Literacy can really transform your life, and I really believe that dari dulu. Jadi I thought Putri Indonesia would be a great opportunity, something new for me to do, a new challenge for my self-growth as well. And I think all that decision was a big shift in my life, a big deciding factor to where I am at in my life right now. So I'm really grateful for the experience and deciding to join for Bali. Dan juga waktu itu pada saat I told my mom and my sister at first, I was quite tomboy, I was outdoorsy, playing tennis, dan juga even though I studied fashion, tapi aku nggak pernah nunjukin kalau aku itu orangnya cukup feminine or I like to be on stage karena aku nggak pernah ada experience itu. So when I told my mom, aku ingat banget, she was in her bathroom and I told mom, should I join? I was just like asking her what she thinks. Should I join Putri Indonesia? My friend thinks I should. And she was like, yeah, cool. And I was like, okay, I guess like she encouraged me, like she wants me to try something different. Terus I told my sister that I wanted to join Putri Indonesia. I'm thinking about it. Dan dia bilang, hah, you? Kamu aja nggak bisa bahasa Indonesia, you know? Like I was just arriving from Italy and my Indonesian kayak Bali banget. My Indonesian accent was so Balinese and so bule. And bahkan waktu itu bahasa Balinya lebih lancar daripada bahasa Indonesianya. So she was like, you can't even speak Indonesian. And I was like, like, well, I'm gonna try at least. And I don't think it's a problem because, you know, I'm here to learn. Aku juga mau belajar bahasa Indonesia and yeah, just represent Bali. But it was interesting karena even though my mom awalnya said, yes, cool, you should try. Tapi I think she gave it a thought and she actually said, I don't think you should join Putri karena her friend's daughter joined Putri and she was scared that I would get bullied online atau I wasn't ready for the public exposure that you get from Putri. And she was like hesitant at first for me to join, tapi karena waktu itu actually I also wasn't going to join because they announced that they were postponing the pageant for a year. Aku juga ngerasa kayak maybe it's not my destiny, mungkin aku harus fokus ke karirku karena I just graduated, I'm back in Bali, and if I have to wait 1 year, that's a long time for me to have to wait. And then sebelum memutuskan untuk foto, untuk daftar formulir, aku juga ngerasa, well, actually their age limit was 25 years old, and I was turning 26 at the time. Tapi that night when I told my friend who encouraged me to join, I said, I don't think I can join. I don't think I need, I have time to join. I'm 26, I'm over the age limit and I need to focus on my career. And then the next day, mereka announced that they're extending the age limit. And I told my mom, so my mom said, well, maybe you should join now because maybe it's meant to be. And so after she said yes, I got the green light from my mom. Kita langsung foto dan daftar Putri Indonesia. Sebelum audisi Putri Indonesia itu, the only way that I knew how to prepare myself was just physically to improve my stamina, working out, being healthy, being fit, maybe reading a lot, learning how to do interviews, just, you know, enrich myself, increase my value as a person, which I think is the most important. Karena aku join Putri Indonesia, aku benar-benar serius yang dimana aku mengerti tanggung jawab dari seorang role model itu seperti apa. And Putri Indonesia adalah pageant yang mungkin paling prestigious di Indonesia. So I really took it seriously. I wanted to be a better person coming out of it, especially if I was to win. I wanted to be ready in that sense where I'm mature enough in my mind and I'm able to represent Indonesia, not just in terms of catwalk and wardrobe and beauty, but also in terms of how I can contribute to society and really become a true role model for all those girls here. Waktu itu ada 3 orang and I feel like I could offer the most for being a Bali representative. I feel like I was ready in that sense. Mungkin nervousnya itu atau mungkin bukan nervous, mungkin ada sedikit stres karena preparationnya banyak banget persiapannya dan juga waktu itu masih ada the last variants of COVID. Jadi kita pulang ke Bali, kita ada pre-karantina secara online dan you know kita harus siapin video profile, siapin wardrobe, pokoknya semuanya untuk Putri Indonesia, the competition. And I was nervous karena I was like only given a short amount of time dan ya nervousnya itu sih persiapan untuk Putri Indonesia dan mungkin juga wow aku beneran terpilih nih harus ngejar skills yang actually needed for the competition right now, like the catwalk and the public presentation. Karantina Putri Indonesia itu luar biasa hektiknya kan, as you know, because you've been following selama 2 tahun. Kalau stress, I think it's a good stress, normal stress that pushes you towards becoming the best version of yourself and performing for people. Kalau burnout, no, I don't think I had burnout after Putri Indonesia because I've experienced burnout maybe after the whole pageant journey was over, and that was real, so I will never use the word burnout lightly anymore. So yeah, we did have a lot of stress during the karantina, tapi I think, a little bit of good stress is good for you. It just pushes you forward. Tapi kalau boleh cerita, mungkin ada sedikit moment during karantina where I was not stress, tapi lebih ke yang harus reset my mind sedikit, harus kasih boost of confidence karena aku merasa agak sedikit mempertanyakan kenapa aku di sini, mempertanyakan if I made the right decision, if I'm suitable for this, if I really qualify to be Putri, and why I decided to join the competition. And I think that moment was the best turning point during the karantina. Karena kalau aku nggak ada moment di mana aku mempertanyakan kenapa aku di sana, I wouldn't remember the drive, the reason kenapa aku tekadnya kuat sekali untuk mengikuti Putri Indonesia dan bahkan menang. It was because I wanted to bring back the crown to Bali. Not bring back, bring it for the first time. Jadi that moment was quite special because mungkin I just had to remind myself why I'm there. So what did I do to get my spirit back up? It's literally just self-talk and reflection. Mungkin waktu itu aku nggak nulis, nggak journaling, which I do during my day-to-day life. Tapi waktu itu aku benar-benar had a very short period of time to be by myself, and I just figured it out. I listed, or in my head, I told myself what's the problem, and I just self-talk. And then remind myself kenapa aku di sana, misi yang aku bawa adalah apa, and my uniqueness, and why I should win the crown. Also, another thing that I did to prepare myself for the stage was visualization. Jadi aku memvisualisasi nanti di stage seperti apa dan kenapa aku di sana. Again, it's to bring glory for my home island. Dan bahkan waktu karantina itu, you can ask anyone, any of the girls dan my chaperone, aku nggak pernah cek HP. I give my phone away to my chaperone the whole day. And I was truly living in the moment. Aku benar-benar connected with all the girls and just following the karantina. Makanya aku ingat banyak sekali tentang karantina itu, and I will cherish that moment for a very long time. And I learned a lot, jadi aku benar-benar not really concerned about outside noise, even though it's such a big support. And aku ngerasa I was really honored to have the favoritism from people that I didn't even know, and they have not met me in person. They don't know what I'm like. So I really, really appreciate it. And for sure, it gave me a boost of confidence and motivation. Tapi kalau kita terlalu banyak leaning into that, I think it could be like a boomerang also for us. Jadi kita benar-benar harus hati-hati dan kita harus percaya dengan diri kita sendiri and have that motivation from within. Waktu itu kita kolaborasi dengan 2 desainer di Bali karena kita emang mau mengangkat designers di Bali, dan temen aku Ebi juga bantu selecting the designers. So we went with Komang Tri untuk aksesorisnya dan Cho Abi untuk busananya. And kita mau sesuatu yang cukup simple karena emang I am quite simple as a person. Tapi there's a meaning behind it, masih tetap Bali banget, and also representing me and my advocacy. Jadi Komang Tri, dia design the crown with aksara, terus I was holding a book with the aksara coming out. It's just a reflection of me. Dan Cho Abi's signature itu hitam putih atau poleng, dan it's so Balinese. And so yeah, kita came up with this Rejang Aksara. I think my desire where I had to win was top 3. Karena itu adalah momen dimana Ibu Putri kasih kita pertanyaan yang sama. Dan itu momen dimana kita harus prove ourselves why we are the winner. So, based on just the answer only, I really had to prove myself. Mungkin kalau dilihat atau ditonton ulang lagi, you can see I was like so focused and so passionate about delivering the right answer. Karena it was such a nerve-wracking moment, and I was like so serious. I wanted to answer this question because this is top 3, right? Yeah. It determines whether you go to Miss Universe, Miss International, or Miss Supranational. And of course, I've always told people that my target is either juara 1 or nothing. To be honest with you, I was a little bit blank because it's such a nerve-wracking moment. It's both exhilarating and thrilling and a little bit scary because at the end of the day, you won. You're going to represent your country at an international stage and do a lot of these amazing things. So I wouldn't say I was blank. I was like, all these thoughts, all these visions just came into my mind. So I was feeling overwhelmingly proud for Bali, tapi juga all this vision came into my mind about how my whole year as a putri would look like and how my life was gonna change overnight. Jadi aku sedikit kayak blocked out from my surroundings dari keramaian itu yang di JCC, and I just needed to like take it all in. Tapi luar biasa, so proud of Bali, so proud of, you know, all the team, the hard work from people around me, and just so happy to make your parents proud and all these people that support you proud, right? What was the biggest challenge? Just how to keep your energy and stamina up during this new experience, because there's a lot of things going on around you, a lot of new people, a lot of new experiences and things you have to know what to do because people expect you to know what to do exactly, and you don't have space for being a human who makes mistakes. You have to be perfect. You have to sit up straight. You have to look good. You have to smile, and you have to answer everything correctly. So it can be challenging at times because, you know, we are all human. Tapi I think that challenge really made me grow into the person I am today. Dan bahkan itu adalah sebuah consideration yang I had before joining Putri Indonesia. I questioned myself, do I really want to be known by people? Do I really want to give up my freedom of walking on the street with no makeup in my pajamas and sandal jepit in Bali, you know? Do I really want that? At the time, I had like my doubts about it. Tapi, of course, as I told you, I had my bigger reason for my advocacy and for Bali. That's why I decided to join Putri Indonesia. So I sacrificed a little bit of my freedom. Dan awal-awal aku juga ngerasa sedikit takut, sedikit awkward ya. Like scared to make mistakes. Sorry. My ini benar-benar crazy. My vibration. Yeah, so I was a little bit scared in the beginning to make mistakes because sometimes, even though the fans are so supportive, so loving, and I'm not here, I won't be here where I am now without their support, right? Tapi sometimes people are a little bit unforgiving of your mistakes, so I was a little bit scared about that. Dan aku juga belum pernah sebelumnya tinggal di Jakarta. I don't know anyone here, I don't have my family here, so I had nobody to go to if I needed help except for my new family, Putri Indonesia. Jadi pasti ada challenge, ada ketakutan sedikit karena kita berada di posisi yang baru, di kota yang baru, ketemu orang-orang yang baru. Yang pasti aku sudah cukup independen, cukup mateng lah untuk bisa beradaptasi di kota yang baru karena dari 16 tahun aku udah, let's say, tinggal sendiri. So that really helped for me to adapt. And then I think I just got really really lucky karena aku ketemu orang-orang yang benar-benar became like my guardian angels di Jakarta. I met friends that are truly caring for me. Aku juga hati-hati memilih orang-orang yang bisa aku percaya, people that I can just fully trust and that I know that will support me. Karena di dunia pageant ini kita perlu support system yang sangat kuat, yang sangat bagus, because at times you will need it. Jadi aku merasa I'm just lucky, and the way that I adapted to these challenges itu benar-benar setiap hari just take baby steps and take the day one day at a time.
Dan juga dengan keakrabannya dengan Tio Camelia itu did that also help to go through the whole year together?
Absolutely. I forgot to mention, but I think, my girls from Putri Indonesia, they were all so supportive. I think our batch was a really strong batch, and we're all there to support each other. That's where the women empowerment truly comes in. And I can be very honest that there's a lot of women empowerment, none of that cattiness or negativity that some people might think about pageant girls. Yeah, I was very lucky to be surrounded by supportive and caring women, dan tentunya Camelia juga punya peran yang penting dalam semua kesuksesan dari 1 tahun menjabat itu, karena we're there for each other. If there's anything that we need to tell each other, they're very open and they listen and we help each other out. Aku merasa truly I'm one of the most lucky putri Indonesia karena aku dapat contohnya ketemu presiden mungkin sekitar 6-7 kali, terlibat dalam acara-acara penting, acara-acara yang sangat besar di tahun 2022, which was G20 and other cultural and governmental events that were quite significant for the country. Jadi sebenarnya banyak sekali acara-acara yang wow, berkesan. Tapi of course, that what's always in my mind sampai sekarang, just like every time I go, setiap kali aku keluar kota, aku pasti berusaha untuk organize event storytelling with children. And I think just those storytelling events and moments sangat berkesan buat aku sampai sekarang. I try to do it still until now. So since day one, I really try to maximize my reign as much as possible. How can I contribute and make my time as Putri Indonesia in this very short period of time as the best way that I can. Jadi aku benar-benar susah kalau harus pilih satu event yang berkesan buat aku karena I feel like I just maximize the whole year. I try my best to attend every event, complete my training to go to Miss Universe, do as many advocacy activities that I can, go travel as much as I can. I went to New York 2 times, so I feel like no, I don't have that feeling kalau the crown will be passed on. I think like by the time that time came, I just felt so satisfied and so relieved karena I've done my job.
No regrets.
And that's no regrets. That was the most important thing for me. That moment before I passed on the crown or my last walk was just an overwhelming amount of appreciation and gratitude that I had towards all my supporters, towards Yayasan Putri Indonesia, and giving me this opportunity of a lifetime, and all the memories that I've had from my whole year of being Putri and my experience at Miss Universe, because there's not many girls that get this opportunity, and the title of Putri Indonesia will stay with me forever. So it was just a wonderful mixed feelings of emotions, bittersweet, and also very grateful for my mom because she was in the audience crying. Makanya I was just like so, sad, but yeah, I'm just grateful for everything and to get to represent Bali and to do what I did. Well, kebetulan waktu itu I think I still had jobs lined up for maybe 3 months after the passing on the crown. Jadi aku belum sempet ada moment di mana I was like, this is what I'm gonna do. I think I had a moment where I was giving myself time, memberikan waktu untuk memikirkan what do I want to do? What does Laxmi, what does she want to do to make her happy and satisfied with her career? So, aku kembali lagi mempertanyakan apa yang aku ingin lakukan to make me happy and satisfied and to follow my passion. Banyak sekali perubahan sebelum dan sesudah ikut Putri Indonesia. Apalagi perubahan secara pembawaan diri. Okay, that is for sure. I know that I'm much more, I guess, eloquent and proper, and I can put myself in situations or events where it involves important people, and I need to socialize and network. I'm sure that I'm so different before and after. Aku juga merasa wawasanku tentang Indonesia lebih luas. My sensibility and understanding for the whole nation has just changed. Tapi essentially, me as a person inside, I don't think I've changed a lot. You know, I still think I'm still me from before. Kalau Laxmi melihat peran mereka dalam membesarkan Putri Indonesia itu, I think mereka itu telah secara besar memberikan dampak yang positif untuk wanita-wanita Indonesia. Karena mereka bisa bukan merubah ya, tapi membuat sebuah pageant lebih valuable daripada hanya pageant di mana perempuan, you know, parading and showcasing just their beauty and their skills in catwalk or modeling. Tapi mereka benar-benar mengasah wanita Indonesia untuk memberikan mereka a lot more opportunities in their life and also teach them and nurture them to grow into important people in society and impactful people in society. Jadi itu adalah sebuah achievement yang luar biasa dari Ibu Putri dan Eyang Moore sebagai, you know, two very inspirational Indonesian women, and they don't keep it just for themselves, but because they've grown this whole platform of Putri Indonesia dan menginspirasi wanita di seluruh Indonesia. I think, you know, they're like national heroes. They've done so much for women in the country, and I hope to be just like them. Amen. Okay, so to share a little bit more about my book club, aku itu udah mulai ada ide untuk book club itu di tahun 2020. Ketika COVID, aku propose sebuah ide to my mom, who's the founder of the Ubud Writers and Readers Festival, yang dimana waktu itu kebetulan harus hybrid karena COVID of course. Jadi semuanya harus ada unsur digital dan lebih sering aktif di social media. So I told my mom, why don't you do a book club live on Instagram? And well, I already knew, okay, I'll host it. Tapi I was so serious about it. I made her a whole proposal about the book club and she said yes. So I hosted the book club. I invited some of my friends and some of her friends to join the book club 4 years ago. Setelah itu aku sibuk dengan Putri Indonesia, jadi tertunda atau got stopped. But then I was always involved with the Ubud Writers and Readers Festival, dan dari 1 atau 2 tahun yang lalu kita sebenarnya udah dari 2023 kita udah syuting podcast pertama dari this book club that took 1 year after to rebrand into Shelf Therapy. So kita mau bikin book club yang platformnya lebih besar. And we want to make it more than just a book club. You know, we want to have events. Kita mau build a community around it. Then, yeah, have like a lot of activation offline juga. So yeah, Shelf Therapy was born since we made it since 2023. Kita rebrand the whole book club. Instead of the Ubud Writers and Readers Book Club, we named it Shelf Therapy. Kalau if you can understand what it means, it's related to bookshelf and reading as a form of therapy. And the name is quite catchy and I love it. So Shelf Therapy was born. And yeah, I hope to grow a bigger platform from Shelf Therapy because it's like my baby. It's the book club that we imagined 4 years ago turned reality until now, and we're collaborating with brands. Orang-orang bener-bener, they're really interested in what we have put out there so far. It's still so new. The last podcast we shot itu September 2024. I shot 6 episodes of podcasts with the writers that came for the Ubud Writers and Readers Festival. And we're just starting to air it in December, so it's completely new. And then we started an activation event in December, jadi everything is just, trial at the moment. Tapi I think I can see I have bigger vision and bigger ideas for Shelf Therapy, and I'm so excited for that. And people are wanting to collaborate with me as well. So yeah, I'm excited. Kalau aku bisa memberikan pesan, I think it's so important for us to understand and know ourselves. Jadi kita benar-benar harus tahu diri kita itu siapa, apa yang membuat kita bahagia, what is our passion, and where we want to be in life. Karena kalau kita udah tahu semua itu, we've defined all that, I think we can give our best. We can produce our best work. We can collaborate better with people. We become better team players. Jadi that, for me at least, that was the important thing to establish. Setelah itu, everything flows. Everything flows and everything's working well. So I think untuk semuanya yang dengar podcast ini, you can try it for yourself. Even though it sounds mungkin agak sedikit not important, but trust me, it's so important. Wait, I also brought my book.
Oh, okay. Want to share your book?
Actually, so one of our episodes that we shot in Bali for my book club is with this author, Japanese monk Shokei Matsumoto. This is, I believe, his second book. It's called A Monk's Guide to a Clean House and Mind. And his belief is that, we need to minimalize our lives, daily lives, so that we don't put unnecessary stress. You don't have to add meditation on your daily schedule, but if you put it and your daily schedule is already so busy, you stress yourself out because you have that pressure that you have to meditate in order to relax or de-stress. Tapi sebenarnya kita itu bisa ambil salah satu aktivitas di jadwal kita dan jadikan itu sebuah bentuk dari meditasi. Kalau dia percaya itu cleaning for him is a form of meditation, bersih-bersih. Jadi kalau ruangan kita bersih dan waktu kita melakukan aktivitas bersih-bersih itu, kita benar-benar bisa mengosongkan pikiran. Dan itu adalah suatu form of meditation for him. And he wrote this book to explain all about that, how you can meditate through cleaning, dan juga ada teknik-teknik bersih-bersih sesuai dengan his temple or monastery in Japan. They can watch the episode on YouTube, and you can also listen to it on Spotify and I believe Apple Podcasts. And if I may read like a little bit.
Sure.
I forgot my bookmark, so
It's okay,
tissue.
it's okay.
If I can read a little bit from his book, from page 6. Okay, I'm just gonna read a couple of paragraphs. A light breeze during the pleasant season of spring and autumn feels lovely. In the middle of summer, however, opening the windows allow in the stifling heat, and on winter mornings, it lets in the piercing cold air. But that's okay. The act of cleaning is a chance to communicate with nature. Without the adjustments made by humans, a house would be covered in dust and its structure would weather. In 100 years, it would fall apart and return to nature. By cleaning and looking after your home, maintaining a balance with the raw force of nature, you can preserve it in a state that allows comfortable habitation. Humans are primarily weak creatures who cannot survive long without shelter against the elements. This is why we must make adjustments to the environment we live in. Cleaning is a way to converse with nature. If we keep this idea in mind, then it is clear that aspects of modern life, such as air conditioning, which creates the same environment throughout summer and winter, amount to a refusal to communicate with nature. Becoming used to this will surely lead to the weakening of the body and the mind. When it's hot, it should be hot. When it's cold, it should be cold. I think that sweating as you clean while experiencing nature is the secret to a healthy body and mind. Open a window and interact with nature. Become aware that you are too weak to live in the same environment as living things in the wild. Experience the gentleness and severity of nature against your skin and feel grateful for the preciousness of the life force. Each morning, open the windows that connect you to nature and inhale the fresh air. Oh my God!
For you?
Oh my gosh, thank you, Opal. You've been so generous to me, by the way. Opal has been such a big supporter and so generous. Like, I can't believe you put my face in the Bundaran HI and all these billboards. So thank you so much. No, I'm really, really grateful. This photo was done after I won, after I became Putri Indonesia 2022 at Mas Roni's studio in Cipete. And I was wearing a beautiful kebaya. This is one of my favorite kebayas by Intan Avanti. I love the combination of the blue sequins and the gold. I think it's so regal and royal. Dan juga tema waktu itu kita kebetulan Borobudur, jadi ada print, special batik print here. And this kebaya gown I wore during my crowning moment, top 3 Putri Indonesia. Yeah, it's memorable. It's me 2 years ago, 3 years ago.